What's up everyone, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Reptile News. Now I had a few things I wanted to talk about today, but one thing just really stuck in my head. We're going to get through these few things, but we're going to breeze through them really quick because the important thing that's stuck in my head just won't get out, and I gotta talk about it. And we're gonna start off in Guam, where the brown tree snake problem, we've been talking about this for years really, and apparently the government is pledging more funding to them in the tone of $3.7 million. Now if you're unaware, this situation there with the brown tree snake is far too much to talk about in one simple video, but I urge you to look into it because well, brown tree snakes don't belong there, and similar to our Burmese python problem in the extremes, South Florida, which is not a problem for everywhere else, a brown tree snake is an issue in Guam that needs to be dealt with. They've had I'm not going to say millions, they've had a ton of ideas in the past. Some of them worked a little better than others, but they're still fighting these snakes down there. And now we're going to move on to Medford, Oregon, and this one actually, for the oddest reason, jumped out at me, and it's because the company I work for actually has a facility in Medford, Oregon. Apparently the Department of Human Services had an 8-foot boa crawl in the front door. Now a pet shop is taking care of the boa while they're looking for the owner, which as of this recording has not stepped forward. So we have another exotic snake in another state that's loose. This is clearly an issue that needs some addressing, and I really hope the reptile community as a whole is able to address this kind of stuff, which is kind of a story we're about to get into, the thing in my head, before the authorities do. Now clearly in Medford, Oregon, a boa constrictor cannot survive through the winter time, so it's not really a concern at all having an invasive species actually take root there, but it is still a problem if people's exotic pets are out running around the wild. And now the story I want to talk about is getting along. Now I have a few examples of this. Now I'm going to start off with YouTube, for example, and I don't quite understand. Now I maintain a few YouTube channels. Right at this moment I don't exactly know the stats of my vlog channel. I don't keep up with it very much. I post there every now and then, but I do keep up with two channels. This one here, and I also have a gaming channel, which I've shared on social media, but not really ever shared here. Now I've got 6,000 views this month on my Reptile News channel, Reptile News channel, 6,000 some odd views this month so far, and I've got about 3,000 views on my gaming channel, so it's about half. When you look at the minutes watched, I've got about 10,000 minutes on both channels. You see, my Reptile News videos are usually only 3 to 5 minutes long, whereas my gaming videos are usually 20 to 30 minutes long, so people generally are hanging out on those videos more. Now this is where I get to the point of getting along. I have gotten so much hate from the reptile community because of my Reptile News channel, which is kind of awkward. I've gotten zero hate from the gaming community, short of a few snarky little comments here or there, but I've actually had people tell me to go kill myself from the reptile community, which I don't quite understand. And this is something that's been on my head, us getting along and just making shit work. It's been on my head for a long time now, and I was actually contacted by a good friend, Stefan Rosemuller. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but I don't think I ever learned how to properly pronounce it. You see, Stefan lives in Indonesia, currently in Indonesia, and we actually met kind of locking horns. We got into it pretty good and ended up being friends, seeking each other's advice here and there. And we were talking today about specific groups, or the need for a specific group to kind of call out breeders that otherwise, because of having a big name, would get away with murder for the most part. And I gotta be straight up front and honest, I don't really like the idea. We've got so many forums and communities and groups that are already dedicated to trashing people in the reptile community. And my thought on this whole idea is I think we would be better almost forgetting the current generation. Andrew, why are you messaging me when I'm filming? Jesus. Rather, you know, ignoring the current generation. I don't think our current issues are going to get fixed, and spending our time better educating the next generation, I think, is the best way to go about it. And this is honestly a topic that we can go on for hours and hours and hours on, which we don't quite have hours and hours. Maybe we should do something live soon, but I really think something that would be so beneficial to our community is to have a group of people that have some kind of maybe small, a big influence influence is even better, but some kind of influence, or just enough people getting together and preaching the good word, preaching education, preaching responsible keeping, and kind of getting to work on fixing our problems, which I'm not saying doesn't exist now. I'm just saying I have not personally been invited to it or heard of such a group of people, although I've heard numerous people over the past especially couple of years mention the need for such a community. And while we didn't cover very much news today, that's where I'm going to end the show. Something for you guys to think about for a couple days until I come back. If you'd like to read about the couple news stories we talked about at the beginning, those links are always right down in the description down below. And if you're still watching, my name is Jason White. Now you know kind of what's going on in my reptile world. We'll see you Friday.